Hello. Testing. Testing. One, two, three. Okay. That should be it. I will be starting in about a couple minutes. Ooh. In 10 minutes. Dreams come true. Dream on. Dream on. Dream until your dreams come true. I'm probably going to start actually a bit early. So just give me a second. Let's erase this. Let's do 4 minutes. We'll start a bit early, because I feel like it. Yeah. Dream on. Dream on. You know what? We're just going to start. Because I feel like starting. Okay, we left off on this last time. The double spread page. Referencing JoJo's. This is a JoJo's reference. Yes, yes it is. I hope you enjoyed a JoJo's reference. It is my favorite reference. And let's go on. So, now we get into the panels afterwards, and this leads into the fight. The fight is more or less already started from the previous page, but let's reiterate what's happening. They're walking towards each other, right? Nope. Let's go back. They're walking towards each other, and the most important thing is the fight has already started from this page, where Major punches Karen in the back of the head with a speech bubble. I know it doesn't seem like that, but this is actually the start of the fight. And if we go ahead and go back to where we're supposed to be, we get the physical start of the fight. Remember, words start fights. And we, of course, start top right and bottom left. We go this way, right to left. So we start with Karen's head, end with a view on the back of Major's body. I like this panel. I think I ripped it from the Backwater Swordsman, so the manga, and I took an influence from that, so I can draw better. And then you see 1, 2, 3 motions back to back. This is also influenced by the Backwater Swordsman's manga. And you can see the movement within the panel. Major's moving, so sword goes here, right? Goes to the left. But then she raises back the katana up so then she can go down for a downward swing. All of this is art in motion. All of this is done in a 1, 2, 3 step, right? And you get 1, 2, 3 here because she's moving her katana, then she's doing all of this, and then she's smiling. All of this is creating this X. And I'm leading your eyes to do something. To just look at both of these panels at once. I'm trying different things with these panels, and it's all for fun. Who knows if I'm getting my point across, but there's some fun towards this, right? I'm trying to do different things. Even though the panel is supposed to be read top down, right? I'm doing things like, I'm going to right to left, but then I'm making you look back left to right because she's cutting Karen's head. The hand motion is going down to up instead of up to down, even though I'm going against the grain here. Who knows if I'm doing this correctly? And who knows if I even know what I'm saying? But I do enjoy it. Now we get into the point of this panel. I love this panel. I don't know if it works. I like to say it works. Because Karen's not actually taller than Major here. But from the perspective, it looks like Major is tiny. But I wanted to give off this effect of she looks tiny, so then you get this text space in the background. And of course, I'm exaggerating the perspective here again to make Karen look even larger. They're about the same height if you look at the character models. And the difference between the framing is what dramatically shifts the perspective. So again, I'm making it seem like things are bigger, right? And I'm reiterating that here. You don't really believe me until you see it once, oh, once, twice. Yes, absolutely. The different directions make the actions more frenzy. That's what I'm getting at. There's a lot going on. There's blurred movements. There's blurred movements. There's dynamic lines happening. There's chains. I'm messing with perspective here. And it's all in favor of trying to get your attention. And I want to get your attention because I'm trying to keep your attention. Because this is the middle of the story. And you're probably bored at this point. You're probably bored of the story. You probably don't want to finish it. And that's where readers get lost the most, around the middle of the story. That's why I added the fight scene. And it's not to just keep your attention, but to keep my own attention. Because I'm getting bored writing this. At this point, I think I was doing this for about 9 months. And I was bored making this because I was tired. I was just running off of grit and no passion. And at some point, you just got to do stuff for yourself. And luckily, this part of the story was a great time for me. And it just leads into better drawing, because if I'm interested in my own drawings, it just creates better art. I'm more passionate about it and leads to better reading, which you guys will continue on. So next page. And this page is actually kind of messed up. I want to redo it one day. But you see this overlapping spike ball? I had a more, so like kind of like this view on it, but I didn't know how to do it properly. So I like this. So every other panel is fine except for the spike ball overlapping everything. But the spike ball would come out over the page itself, right? And then it would cast a shadow on top of her face, because the shadow would be over here in a sense, right? Let me use a different color for this. Let's just use purple because I feel like it. So, this would be purple, right? And it would cast a nice shadow over Major's face here. But since the yellow, where's my yellow? Since the yellow here would be the actual spike ball that this is, right? It would look like the overlay of the spike ball is above the page. And what I mean by this is the page, right? These are the panels on this page, and it's cut like this, cut like that, and then cut like this, right? But then you see a spike ball vertically, because Karen's panel here leads the chain above the z-axis. That's what I'm trying to do. If this is the x, if this is the y, this would be the z, correct? I'm trying to go outside of the page, and I'm trying to do different things that I haven't seen done before. And I'm so I don't know how to convey this in such a simple term of, I wanted to do things differently, but I wanted to do things better, but in my own style. And I wanted to take influence from the people that I love to read from, but I knew that they wouldn't try to do this because only somebody like me would do it. Somebody as an amateur, a novice in the works. Because I'm just starting as a manga artist. I don't know where my limits are. I don't know where to stop. So I'm just drawing stuff at the wall and hoping anything sticks. And this is one of them. And I'm hoping this sticks, right? You see, I should have maybe added these vertical lines, but I covered the, these panels, which I was wholly against. So I didn't want to add these lines, but maybe in the future, when I redo this page, it'll look better. But yeah, I adore this page when I was thinking about how to execute it. But at the end of the day, I think it looks great too. There's a certain amateur artist like vision. There's a vision here, but then there's poor execution, of course. But there's something about that within that style that should hopefully come across that I was trying something new, right? And that's kind of, I know it's not good, but I hope that I get some respect for trying something, because I've never seen somebody try to do this in the way I tried doing it. At least I hoped I did. So this was me trying to innovate. It's an interesting page. First time I see this kind of panel break where the object cuts across multiple panels. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And that's one of the things I was trying to get at. I was doing something new. I'm not trying to retrace steps exactly with manga. Although, the hero's journey has been done to death at this point. But you got to give your own take on things sometimes, especially with manga and storytelling in general. Hey, Tophet. Glad you're still making progress on Fashionista. How exactly do you measure success? Oh, good question. Great question, actually. How I measure success is, and this is going to be a tough one, how I measure success now versus how I measure success before. So I'm going to tell you two different definitions. I used to measure success whether or not people understood me 100%. And what I meant by that is, when you're trying to tell somebody something and they really get what you're saying, they will in turn do certain things afterwards. It's you getting across to them not just the idea, but the information that they can take to their own lives and make use of it. That's what I believe success is for me. Nowadays, I've kind of changed my thoughts on that idea, because not everybody's going to get exactly what you're saying all the time. And this goes back to the storytelling. If my story, I can't convey to you every single thing in my mind, let's go with the least amount I can, which is 1%. I don't want to go lower than 1% because it feels like I'm nitpicking at that point. But if I can get through to you 1% of the story that was in my head, or the thoughts in my head, whether it be any topic, right? Whether it be about character creation or manga creation or paneling or storytelling, whatever it may be. If I can get across 1% of it, and you truly get that 1% and you take it home with you, I have won. I have succeeded in doing the things I set out to do. Because I know at this point, with a bit more wisdom, that 100% was me being a bit crazy about it. That was me being overly enthusiastic and a bit too passionate for a lot of people. And that scares people. But I believe 1% is a great compromise, because it lowers my expectations, but it raises the expectations of, if somebody does meet the 1% and go higher, maybe you reach 5, maybe you reach 10, right? It makes me feel even better. So I'm setting the bar a bit low, but it kind of helps, because success shouldn't be perfect, because I was striving for perfection back when I kind of started this manga. But nowadays, when you temper your expectations to not a low bar, but a good amount, right? Especially starting off, then you're not weighed down by those thoughts. You're able to get through everything without worrying about everything's perfect. Because when you have low expectations for yourself, you can exceed them. So you can take another step forward. You don't have to be perfect there. But yeah, I hope that answered your question. Success for me, in clear terms, is making sure my words weren't wasted. My time on this earth was not used up in vain, and I could get across even a percentage of the message to you, whether the crazy thoughts in my head are correct or not. But yeah, back to the manga. Great question, though. I love that question, Devi. Fantastic. So let us go on to Spike Ball. Yes, swung on Major's face. Major's looking up. Karen's drawing it. And there's a bit of a skip. I should have shown some action. Oh, thank you for answering. I'll be here listening. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. I will do my best to keep enthusiastic throughout all of this. I have been feeling much better recently. I will be trying my best to stay hydrated this whole time so I can give my 100% to this. I am feeling good today. So I'm gonna give it my best for the stream. All right. This page just needs this panel just needs a little bit of vertical lines to show that this got smacked down on the ground. And I was thinking about adding a panel here of kind of like the spike ball smashing into the ground, right? But I feel like this panel works even without that. So who knows if I want to change it. But I do enjoy this panel, this panel, this panel, and this panel. And I want to go back to rhythm. Rhythm is very important in storytelling because you can tell whether or not I thought about it. So you have an intro scene, right? Back from when, let's go back a page. So Major gets hit right here. Yes. And then you see the aftermath of that. She's in the wall. She's coming out of it, right? And then you see the dust settle. She's thinking about basically getting isekai'd by the spike ball here for the keen viewers. And then she's waving off the dust off, or like the metal protection on her brow. Then you have Karen throwing. Then you have the spike ball. There's an interval of time here that's being changed. Let's say it's 5 seconds, right? 5 seconds here, 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 right? 5 seconds here. Things are happening almost in 5 seconds increments. And this is the rhythm that I want to get across. There's a time difference in between these borders that's happening. Also, I used the chain as a border cut. I like that. I don't know if it came across properly, but these are two separate panels. And this is a border cut just like this. I should have did this border cut here first probably, and then I should have used the chain to cut this one. So I have a before and after, but I did the after before, if that makes sense. And it looks great to me. It probably kind of I should have did the opposite way, so it made more sense. But hey. But back to the topic at hand of rhythm. 5 seconds. 5 seconds happens in between these lines. 5 seconds. 5 seconds. 5 seconds. All of these. And the rhythm should continue. So this spike ball hits. And this should be 5 seconds after this panel, right? And then you get her thinking within another 5 seconds. And then the spike ball again moves. So another 5 seconds. 5 seconds happens. 5 seconds happens between this. 5 seconds happens, right? So let me see. So let's count. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What's 12 times 5? That's 60 seconds. 60 seconds just elapsed inside these two pages. And that's the rhythm that I'm trying to get across to you. There's a pacing towards the story. And pacing is probably the better term to use. But I like rhythm better because I'm going to change up the rhythm in the following pages. Because things get slower. I'm slowing things down to get a better effect out of it. And here's what I'm trying to go for. Let me get, where's my drawing pad? There you are. Major throws a punch here. And there's something happened off screen here, right? Her arm movement's not where you think it is. It's right here. It is right here, correct? But then you get to this page and she's already deep inside the arm. So another 5 seconds elapsed her, right? But then another 5 seconds. But here I slow it down. I'm slowing down the timing. And you can see the before and the after of the flick of Karen's hand with the spike ball, with the flail, spike ball and chain. And you see the slow-mo coming, and you're anticipating something. You're anticipating this. You're anticipating the hit, the crack. And that's all part of rhythm. That's good storytelling, or that's what I'm trying to do with good storytelling. You have to have rhythm towards it, and slow down for the good parts, speed up for the boring parts. That's the point of storytelling. Nobody wants a linear story, but people like the acceleration and deceleration of a story. It's like a roller coaster ride. If you've ever been on a roller coaster, which I haven't, I know, sounds weird, because I'm talking about it and I haven't experienced it. Imagine like an airplane ride, because that's what I've experienced at least. When you get the intro of the plane taking off, you'll feel the G's on your chest. But then when you can relax after the G's have hit, and when you're cruising, when you're actually at cruising altitude, you'll feel more relieved. Oh, the G's are over, the acceleration is over. And here it's the speed up. Here is all speeding up for boom, the smack, the rhythm here. Because you get, nope, that's, so 5 seconds, right? 5 seconds. Then this is the panel where I change things up. Oh, this looks like 1 second. And then you're like, oh, another second. And then you see the aftermath of those 1 second. Just to stop on this panel. And I believe that came across better because of how the emphasis of this panel goes. Because I wanted to emphasize this panel so much that I changed the perspective. I had to think, I remember making this panel, and I didn't know how to make this panel pop out to myself. So I spent days, weeks thinking about it when I first made this story. And I was like, I don't know what to do. This is one of the highlights of the fight, and I don't know how to make this amazing for you guys to like enjoy. And I dragged myself through just thinking about, you gotta do better, you gotta make this amazing. And this is what I ended up coming up with, because this is something I hadn't seen before in manga. I hadn't seen this type of perspective, in a sense, where you have close combat, right? But you have a long range weapon, but you have a person, in a sense, with such skill and finesse that they're able to lock in and bust somebody's arm at close range without harming themselves, right? I wanted to convey that the skill it needs to not just throw a ball around, but within a very simple panel here. Karen has great control over this from the previous panels. Let me go back. Because you're looking at her just fling this thing around from, I guess, page 63. She's spinning it around in this panel. Direct hit in the middle of Major's body. Again, do you write a script for this? Like dialogue and how the action will play out. Yes, I have a full script for this. This manga was made with a full script before anything was done. This story was written in text far before anything was drawn. And I want to, this might be a nice sneak peek for the end, but I will show you a quick sneak peek if I can get it, actually. Let's see if I can find that text document. And I really hope okay, give me just a second. This might be it. Okay, I'm going to give you guys just a sneak peek. I'm not going to give you guys everything. And what panel am I on? Okay, let's do 67. How about that? 66 and 67. La 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 la. Okay. I have 66 and 67. And I'm going to try sharing this with you two. Let's see if I can create a... Let's see. Do you see that? Do you see the text document? Let me see if I can open this up further. Oh, that's not right. That's not right either. How do I open this? OBS, please. Anyways. I want to make this bigger, and I don't remember how. Give me just a second. It should be Control Shift or Shift. Something with this. No. Alt Shift, is it? There it is. Okay. So. This is the full... Okay, wow, this is actually bigger than I thought. Okay. No, not that. Okay. How does that look for you guys? Does that look better? That's better. Okay, let's go, let's go. Okay. This is what I was working off of for a year and a half. And it's going to sound like crazy talk, but bear with me, okay? So you have... So this is 52. Let me go down to 67. Ooh, yeah. Boy, oh boy. You know what? Let's just go to 66 because I was just talking about that. How about that, okay? That's better. And this is just a lot of crazy talk. But bear with me on the crazy talk, okay? Because this is what's happening behind the scenes of how a manga gets made, in my opinion. Whether or not other people have done this, oof. So, we have the layout here, right? You see first panel, second panel, third panel, right? First, second, third panel. And I'm cutting it with a 4. So this is the 4th panel. So 1, 2, 3. And this is the 5th panel. And I'm telling you guys, right here, let's see, where is... Why does it keep going to 52? Please, stop. I don't want you to do that. So this is what I'm talking about. Right here. This is all the text. And... Oh, I didn't add the crack. There's some redos here. Forgive me for the redos. But, and this is me saying, nope. Old panel 3, I'm just going to redo this. There are a lot of editing here, but I kept it in just because this is a personal text document. This was never supposed to be shown, but this is basically what's happening in the background. I did a panel layout for the whole page, right? And I'm using these brackets to just like show the panel. There's speed lines here. I'm telling myself how to draw this whole page, and nobody taught me how to do this. This is just what I did. So you guys get some sneak peeks because this is the last Q&A I'm having before, I'm going to do other stuff. So major gets absorbed into fat, right? So this is the first one. And this text is here. Correct. It's here for this one. Oh, yellow is not very good for this. Let's try red. Right? So this one is 1. 2. Sorry, the text looks really janky. Let's see if I can make this. Oh, I can zoom in. Oh boy, that's a very big zoom. Let's try that. How about that? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, on the fly streaming is not very good for me because I am not used to switching screens very often. So you got the 1. You got the 2 here. You got the 3. Actually, the whipping the flail is right here. Yep. And then you got, so I changed the old panel 3. It used to be reeled in at high speeds, so this got X'd out. So literally, this whole paragraph is dead to me now because I changed it. This is the panel that ends up being 4, right? And then we end on, I believe one of these. I forget. Oh, it's not this one. It's this one. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. This is dead. Believe this is dead. So you can just ignore this paragraph if you want to. But this is how a manga got made from just text. Because this original story was not a manga. But I turned it into a manga by thinking about how to turn text into manga. Because that is actually a skill that's happening currently, where people are changing light novels, all text-based, I'm just saying, into manga pictures. And it takes a very skilled artist to do that. I'm not a skilled artist, just saying that. But if you look at the text, I'm just giving myself instructions of, oh, this is the storyboard. Okay, I need this for this panel. So Major gets absorbed in Karen's fat. She's getting absorbed. What's the perspective gonna look like, right? She's deep in the fat folds, so her arm's deep in there. Okay. And I'm saying it's the right forearm. And she's smirking. You barely see the smirk, I know, but she's actually smirking. And I add, the smirk to be more defined here, where Major's trying to pull her arm out. It's from her perspective, right? By the way, Major's head would be like right here, correct? Because her head's right here. So she would be like, get me out, get my arm out. So smirking. And then you see this is, oh yeah, when she whips, let me go here. This is the 3rd panel, right? This is the 3rd panel where Karen whips the flail. And I'm just trying to make it look like what I thought in my own head when I was thinking about the process. Because there was a lot of mental game going around here. And I'm going to sound really crazy now, so bear with me. This whole story was played out in my head before I even wrote it down. And then I had to revise that. Because the text document, you probably don't see the title of it, but it's the iteration of, where is it? All right, OBS, stop fighting me. Let me show the audience stuff. Oh my goodness, please stop. Please, OBS. Okay. Can I show the rest of this screen? I cannot. Well, that sucks. Anyways. What in the world is happening? Okay. Anyways, the text document is called version 1.8.6. There has been innumerous amounts of changes to this document where I'm just updating it, making it different, slightly correcting certain panels so things can move at the correct pace in the whole story. And this is just the behind the scenes of how to make a manga from my perspective. Most manga artists probably don't do this. And the only reason why this one is done the way it is because I wrote it down in text before drawing. And a lot of people don't storyboard like this. Most people storyboard, and I'm going to hide this real quick. Most people storyboard like this instead. Yep. So most people would storyboard like this instead, where they have this. They'd be like, okay, I want these panels here, this panel here, this panel here, and then I want here. This would be this would be Karen, and then I can have spike ball here. All right, whoosh, and we have face, or hand. That's generally how storyboarding's done from what I've seen, and it's fine. But you kind of get stuck in the idea of when you do that, right? You get to the problem of, oh, I did it this way, right? I did it this way, so the proportions are stuck that way. And you get into the mental game of, do I keep what I had when I was kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? When I was drafting, that's the word. When I was drafting this page, or do I change it up and it'll take a bit more energy? Most people are not going to spend that extra energy to redraft the page. It's a lot to like imagine a scene and reimagine it from a different perspective. But when I did it text-based, I didn't have that problem because the text is all here. I can change the text, and since I didn't have a forced perspective to begin with, I'm able to just I can switch up any of these panels and not have a problem because there was nothing set in stone to begin with, like a normal storyboarding would have. So this panel, I can change the perspective. Let's say instead of having it from top down, right? This is a top down view. Let's try. Oh my goodness, OBS, why do you hate me? Okay. So instead of and this is going to be the bigger panel of that, right? Instead of having that, let's have Major here, right? And then Karen here. And let's really, really define. So this would be Major, right? I'm sorry. This would be Major, this would be Karen. And then this is Karen and, big body. And instead, let's have her fist like this, right? So the focus of the panel in here is her arm. And I can shift up the page a bit, right? So let's erase that. Let's shift up the page just a little bit. So let's have her arm literally in the smack dab in the middle of the panel, right? And those are the raw lines. And let's force the perspective. And, ooh, I don't like that, sorry. That body. And then this would be Karen, right? And then, she's stuck. And then, yep, she's just standing there. And I don't have any problems with changing the perspective because originally this manga was in text first. I don't have to deal with the idea of, oh, I had a draft and it has to be like this. Major's here and then Karen's here. I don't have to rethink that. Everything is very loose. That's the word I'm going to use. And I hope it makes sense what I'm saying, because when you have loose lines that you could work within, you're able to push those lines a bit more. And that's the whole story in a sense. I had text to work off of, so I could change things on the fly. So if I had a better idea on the day when I was drawing it, I could iterate on that so very fast. And when I say iterate, I mean the idea of, sorry, I'm losing my voice very quickly because I'm getting very excited. When I say iterate, what I mean exactly is I'm able to work until the last second and give you the best result possible because I didn't have anything set in stone. But I had things to a degree set in stone in the text, right? This whole text document, let me review again. This whole text document is set in stone. The thing's not going to change. But working within those confines, the lines that I drew for myself, is how the story is being created, if that makes sense. And I know this is a topic that can last hours, and I'm trying to explain it in like 3 minutes. So I'm going to try to be as clear as possible in the next few lines. This whole document was made by me, so then I could draw a manga. because it was a past me giving instructions to a future me of what kind of things I wanted to draw, because I had a vision of how this story was going to go. And that vision, when written down, is not a vision anymore. That's a full story. Me getting across to you the manga is just another step in that process. Because this story was done a year and a half ago, way before the drawing even started. Okay? What you're seeing on the YouTube, right, is just me drawing. You didn't see the countless hundreds of hours that I put into making this text document. I never thought I was going to show you this, but that's what I'm showing you on the right side of the screen. And I hope you enjoyed it, because I am not showing you anymore. There are a lot of this, like, there's no grammar here. Oh my goodness. This is just me showing you like the naked side of the manga. It's just, I don't like showing it. It is. This was only for my eyes only. And I'm showing it now, and it just makes my skin crawl. I'm like, oh, it's like showing you everything. I was not supposed to do that, but somebody asked, and I needed to show it because I wanted you guys to know what's happening in the background, because there are stuff that you don't understand sometimes until I show you, of like, it's not hard work that I'm talking about, but it's the, because I know you guys know what hard work is, I'm sure. Ooh, that's not right. 64. Is this 64? Yes. 66? I believe I need to fix this page. So let's shift. Ooh, that's horrible. I will now fix this page. Oh my goodness, please stop. I had this set up perfectly. That's what I get for messing with OBS. Does that look better? I hope that looks better. Okay. Yeah, no problem. I no problem. And I would love to show you more about what happens in the background for making manga, but I feel like doing it in this Q&A stream would not do it justice. I want to so this is my plan for the next thing, and hopefully it does well, because I'm gonna learn how to video edit, so that's gonna be funny. I'm gonna try to, and somebody asked me this way back when I started this. I don't remember who it was. Please forgive me if it's one of you in the chat. Can you teach us how to make manga? Are you gonna make a video on that? I'm gonna try doing that. I'm gonna try to make a concise guide, but I'm gonna try to make it loose as possible, where you guys can not be influenced by my style, because the style in which I make manga is completely and wholly different from the industry, I'm pretty sure. Because nobody does what I'm trying to do, because only crazy people think of the story in their mental, like in the mind, then write it down, complete it, and then they draw it and then upload it to YouTube. Nobody does that. That's just crazy talk. The only reason I did it is because that's the process in which I thought I wanted to do. So, okay. Getting that out there. I want to teach you guys more about how to make manga, because I love reading manga. That's the one thing of what I want to do. I want to create manga. I want to read manga for the rest of my life. But obviously, not getting paid for it. I just do this as a hobby right now, right? But the most important thing is manga needs to exist in this world. Manga is that's my personal thought. That's why I'm doing this. I love manga. And I don't know how to get that across besides saying and showing you how much I love it. And I need to be able to teach people how to make manga, because it's kind of a dying art form, because a lot of people are going to webtoons, and I'm like, bro, webtoon ain't the way. They don't got the paneling. They don't got the space efficiency that manga has. And that's the problem I have with webtoons. It's just there's so much things that are bad with it that need to be switched up. But that's its own rant. I don't prefer webtoons. I know there are good webtoons out there. Don't get me wrong. I like manga because I grew up on manga and I'm very heavily influenced by it. In that future tutorial, I'd be great to explain how you solve the problems you face versus here's how to do. Oh, I like that. A before and after kind of thing, right? Where I'm like, I was faced with a problem and then I solved it. And this is how I did it. I do plan on doing something similar to that, where I show a before and after. But that's going to take a lot of editing skills that I don't have currently. And I hope to get. But yeah, this round has been running for like 20 minutes. So I will get back to. I will keep that in mind. I do want to do it like that. So thank you for the suggestion, Debbie. I will definitely keep that in mind and take it with me. So before this runs too long, page 2, 3, 4, 5, yes, and then I think let's keep it. Oh man, I don't like yellow. I mean, I don't like red. Red's a bit too drawing for me. 1, 2, yeah. I know the yellow is not too nice for your eyes, guys, but please bear with me. Maybe I can find a gold. A dirty gold, maybe. Ew. Okay. Never mind. We'll just go along. I think it's great you posted on YouTube. Webtoons can be limiting. I used to love reading webcomics on their own sites where creators could format the way they want. A lot of early artists feel alone in most of their challenges, but I'm relating to 99% of the issues you're having. Yeah, a lot of people don't want to show their failures, and I'll be real with you. I didn't want to show my failures. I hate showing my failures, but I did this because I believe it's necessary for the future. Uh, Let me go back to the first thing. I agree on webtoons. If you don't have the original formatting for how the webtoon is laid out, things don't hit the same. And I agree with you, Obara. There's just there's this certain rhythm to webtoons where you're supposed to be scrolling down, right? And it's so lost. But when you have manga, everything's condensed to a page. You don't lose that rhythm because it was thought of to begin with. It's innate to the page itself. Where webtoons, it just gets lost so easily. And that's the problem I have with webtoons. The original artists and their vision is just messed up at some points. And it don't hit the same. Yeah. That I wish it was different, but that's kind of why I'm not into webtoons nowadays, because of just factors that the artists and the story writers are not in control of, just the internet changing. But yeah, back to the second point of what Devi is saying. 99% of the issues you're having, you're not alone, and this is one of the reasons why I made this, because I know I wasn't alone when I was making this, because I experienced enough failure in my life to know that I wasn't alone, if that makes sense. And I wanted to show to other artists that were starting out, you're not alone. You really aren't. You're looking from a perspective of somebody getting into drawing seriously for the first time, like really seriously. But this is just another lane in my life, right? This is just personal thoughts. This is just another lane in my life where I got serious about other things in my life already, and I got really good at them. But for the things I love, like manga, I didn't get serious about. So to show myself being serious about the things I loved, I wanted to capture it, to show everything in full view. And that's kind of what this channel is all about. I'm not going to hide anything from you. I'm not going to hide my failures from you. But in doing so, it shows the whole process. And it shows that you're not alone. That's a side effect of it. And I'm glad it helps like anybody get across the line when they're making manga. But the original thought is back to the words I was saying a bit earlier of, I just want to see more manga being made. And if me making manga inspires other people to make manga, I'm like, I'm winning because I just got to read more manga. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm down. I'm so happy. I'm I'm just the best thing that can happen to me is just I get to read more manga because there are not enough good manga, in my opinion, being made right now. Shonen Jump has great manga, but a lot of it's dying right now, and the new generation of manga creators, their stories are being axed because nobody cares about their stories. And I believe it's a fundamental difference between the previous generation of mangaka and the new generation. They're missing not the art. Their art is amazing, right? It's not their story. Their story is very similar, right? But what they're missing is the innovation. They're not trying new things. They're just rehashing, Dragon Ball, Yu Yu Hakusho, rehashing things from JoJo's. They're rehashing things from just so many stories that we've seen before, but they're not innovating in a way that's their own. And that's what I hate about it. When you innovate and make a story your own, you get to play with it a little bit more. You get to tweak stuff. You get to change this because I like it this way. That's my flavor of storytelling, right? And that's called style, right? And when you get someone with style, okay, let me just briefly glaze Bleach for a second. Bleach has style. Tite Kubo is the best stylistic storyteller ever. Like, people are gonna say JoJo's is very stylistic. Yeah, that's your opinion. He's very much up there, don't get me wrong. But I believe Bleach stylistically fits the story so well. It's just it reeks cool. And Bleach is one of those series where the art emphasizes the story and the story emphasizes the art. It's amazing what Kubo did with that story. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't end certain way, right? You won't like the ending in some aspects, but you can't say it's not cool when you're reading it, because Bleach is cool. That's how I always believed it. And when you can get across to somebody that, like, ambiguous term of, like, what's cool? What do you mean by cool? And you show them Bleach, like, oh no, that's cool, right? They get it. And to take that ambiguous thing and shove it face first in front of people and have them understand it is a hallmark of a master, right? Tite Kubo is a master at style. He has great art, don't get me wrong. He has great storytelling to some degrees, right? But what he's probably perfect at, like, best in the world, is style. And it's just, he's amazing. All right, rant over. Back to me talking about rhythm, because me talking about all these other topics are gonna leave your ears burnt out by the time I'm trying to, like, finish this up. So we'll get to this page. Intro, because so how do you get to this panel from this panel? These are kind of just half steps, right? Where, let's say, so Major's right arm gets smashed, right? And you want her to be grabbing her left arm, her right arm with her left arm. So how do you do that? Well, she has to let go of the katana, yes? So this is the half step of bridging these two panels. This thing right here is the bridge, right? This is the bridge that you walk along. And then you get some text. And you get this. I believe this is a reference to Zoro. If you guys didn't get that, I know I'm revealing all my secrets, so I might as well reveal some references. So this is the Z for Zoro. This is an old movie. I'm a boomer, basically, because I watched the old movies I'm not that old. I'm not gonna tell you my age, but hey, Z for Zero. It's a movie I watched a long time ago, and I love the Z. It was kind of cool, so I added that in as a reference. The lipstick obviously will be. This is a storytelling element. I'm not gonna go into it, but this is what I'm gonna tell you. When to tell a proper story, I had to create a universe, and in this universe, and it's gonna sound weird, makeup, right, in this universe plays a significant role in powering up the individual. So, what I mean by this is, so this is my lead up to this panel and this panel. And let's see if I can explain this properly without confusing anybody. So, she's spinning her spike ball. Major's thinking about stuff. These little guys are a reference to Bayonetta. Just doing that. So this is me just trying to cut panels in a way that I felt like it. So it's just, remember, 1 second, right, between these two panels, and then there's another second here. In between all of this is actually just 1 second, right? So over here. So this is 1 second. This is 1 second between this top panel and this bottom panel. She's thinking all of this at once, right? So this is like 0.25 of a second, 0.25 of a second, right? And it just goes on to add up where you can think of Major just thinking in her own world. She's thinking of how to win this fight. You're giving the audience reasons to care. That's the point, right? You're putting yourself into her shoes, and she's thinking about the fight from her own perspective, and it gives you reason of like, you want to care about this story, because what's the point of reading the story? I'm just gonna put it down if I don't actually care, right? And I'm trying to make you guys care. That's the point of having these inner monologues, right? And these right here. But yeah, so Karen throws the spike ball. You see Major still down on her feet, but then she's gripping her sword, right? And you can see her, she's thinking about how the chain ball is coming to her, right? And I should be able to dodge, but she's confused, right? Why is there a question mark here? Akira reference, yes. And she hurts her left arm, right? And it's hard to explain what I'm trying to do, but I'm implying there's universal rules and power-ups happening. Because what's actually happening, and this is just from my perspective, the lipstick did something, right? Here. And I'm implying it made her spike ball speed increase. How and why? I'm not going to tell you. But I'm implying that. That's what good stories should do. I'm not going to tell you everything. But for the keen-eyed readers, they're going to see it as like, oh, okay, why is that a thing? And why did Major mess up, right? The spike ball speed, when obviously she was dodging on this page really easily, right? Because she dodged the thing twice. You can see it. Whoop. She dodges it once, right? By sheer luck, probably. That was close. And then she dodges again easily. So you're seeing the fight play out, but you're seeing it from one perspective. I'm not giving you Karen's perspective, right? What she's thinking. But she's thinking something. I'm implying she's thinking because, well, she's trying to win, right? The spike ball is aimed at her face. So Karen is trying to kill Major. She's serious about this. And that's all being implied in the story. And it's hard to tell you guys what I mean by this, because this is what all storytelling is about. I'm trying to get you to like not think, but I'm trying to be consistent. That's the word that like encapsulates the whole thing. I'm being consistent with this, with the universe in mind. They're fighting. It's not a one-sided fight. Major's not just fighting some, some boxing, a boxing bag, right? She's not just kicking a bag down. She's fighting somebody else in the universe. The other person is fighting back. That's the important thing. I hope that made sense. That's a long-winded talk about just storytelling and narratives and trying to communicate that back into a manga form. Anyways, this, then she's thinking, and I love doing blurred lines, so then you can have an A to B, right? This is the setup A, this is the B, because you see something in the background. What is that? Why is it so blurry? That's just Major prepping to slash the spike ball. Obviously, spike ball wins above katana, because in universe, big metal ball beats small metal katana. Okay. Anyways, enough ranting about that. We get to this, right? We're slowing it down again. So this is like probably 0.25 of a second, right? Where Major's just opening her hand, and then you see like the little blood drops. See the blood drop, and then you see Major looking up. I'm slowing down the rhythm here between the panels, right? The panels speak for themselves here. I'm not going to explain them because, it's wordless. But the rhythm here is slowed down for the effect of Major still thinking, right? She got bopped by the spike ball, but she's still thinking here. She's still thinking of how to win. And this is a story element that I don't know how to convey to you, because storytelling is always different for how you want to do it. This is just the way I'm doing it. And Major's still trying to win. She's saying, didn't think I would be checkmated in one move. She overestimated herself, right? She got beaten already. She thinks she's beaten already. But, and you have a picture of Karen of doing that. But you have this moment of sass, in a sense. Karen thinks she's won also. But to us, the story reader, we want Major to win, hopefully, right? And we want to have that confirmation. And in this case, this is where I'm trying to confirm to you. She's sad, laughing, blood on her hands. Remember, her left hand has been broken from the previous page, right? Right here. Correct? Her arm is broken from the x-ray. But Major's still gonna fight. Despite that. All story elements. And then we get into a quick floor coma of what's been happening, right? And this is just a story, a way of telling stories of, the text boxes relaying of where Barbara was. And it's just showing where Barbara has been this whole time. Just catching you up to speed in a sense. And it gets to the point of I'm trying to lead into, people call it an awakening, people call it a power-up. In a sense, I wanted to have a power-up for Major because she's losing a fight. She's losing. This is her first big fight, but she needs an ace in the hole. And the ace in the hole is here, right? The shoe. But how do you get to that? Is how a good storyteller needs to think about. So Major does the I won't give up. And then we match the timelines again, right? Match the timelines back to Barber. And then we have his arm here gripping the panel. I love doing this. I don't know what it means to me, but this fourth wall break of just like grabbing the literal panel, I love that. And then this panel is literally the window here. So fun things you can do when you think about paneling of like, oh, let's use the panel itself as the window. That's a thing. That's fun. And then, so barber's head's on the left side, so it's consistent here. Left side, I had to think about that too. And then she's screaming in her ear because, you know, the brain lobe is here, right? Oop, brain lobe. And all the way through to her ears. Just fun artistry, right? And you can see major between these panels of I won't give up, right? I won't give up is right here, right after this page, right? People only die when they're killed. Also a reference, right? Because it's here in the timeline. And then you get this. You get this page, this whole page, right, to tell you one thing. Depress your left toe. Major's confused. She doesn't have any idea what's happening. Nor does the audience, right? But me, as the storyteller, I'm leading you along the way. I've given you hints of what's about to happen because I've been focused on her shoes this whole story, like the middle of the story, right? I introduced these shoes like, well, how far back now? Like right here. And I gave so much emphasis on it because this is page 45, right? This is a gift, right? Literal gift. And right here is when she gets the shoes, essentially. But it all leads up to this sequence. And that should be good storytelling. Things should have been done early to set the stage for when this happens, right? When I'm about to reveal to you what's going to let her win. That's good storytelling, in my opinion, right? So we get to the point where Major's looking down. She's confused. Audience is confused. I'm not confused. I'm the writer, right? I'm not confused. I know what's happening. And the art style changes a bit. I know. It looks weird. Bear with me. This page was one of the first pages that I thought of when I was imagining this fight scene. Literally, Major pressing her toe, opening up, going feral, stomping out the little bud at the bottom of her foot, and strutting towards the audience. Right? This page was one of the first pages to be thought of. But you can't have an individual page without the story, right? Without the before and after. And let me do this. Right? You can't have the before and after. So you have this as the A, right? And this as the B. Correct? And then you have this now being the A, right, into the B. Of course, you know, it's just a sequence of A, B, C, of course, right? This being sandwiched in the middle. But that's kind of part of the story. This is right in the middle of it all, but this is the best part of the story in a sense of this starts the comeback. Major finally has an out, right? Major finally has an out. She has a sword in her heel. Or a knife, whatever you want to call it. She has an out to win. And you finally see a glimmer of hope in the story. Right? So we go from here. Major's gonna get yelled at. And then, not Major, Barber's gonna get yelled at. You. And, you know, he ducks down. Of course, you know, the hand on the panel again. I love doing that. I don't know what about it, but I love doing that. So, we're good here. And we're good here. Love this page. I don't know what about it besides, like, not enclosing panels, but just making the panels super... Something about not closing the panels, right? Adding these squares and just letting the background do it. Feels so good. Like having one of those a page is the maximum, of course, like the way I'm doing it here. But when you do it right, it just fits. Something about it. It gives better emphasis because when everything's in a box, everything doesn't everything doesn't stand out. But then when I want things to stand out, I get rid of the box. If that makes any sense. So, story continues. Right, Major talks to Barber, and you have to remember here, there's a distance between these two, right? But it looks like they're talking face to face here, and that's on purpose. There's a purpose to these panels of being side by side, right? And it makes it look like, oh, she's literally just talking to him from a few inches away, right? Nope, they're like a good walking distance away. But for storytelling wise, within the manga, it only works this way because it's a manga, right? The text bubbles, speech bubbles, are literally overlaying the panel breaks, and that's something you can only do in manga. That's just, I'm making use of the manga medium itself to tell a better story, and that's what I mean by innovation. Certain things only work in manga. That's it. So, moving on. 78, 79, and we're getting the comeback sequence, right? Major's fired up. Let's do this. She's gotten the pep talk, so she's happy. Literally, Karen moves the panel, because you see the speech bubble here, right? Being cut off. She literally moves her panel to make it wider for herself. And then you get the reference to Dragon Ball, if anybody got that. And then Barber shocked, still shook. And, well, actually, shocked, sad. And then spike ball directed at Major's head. Again, because Karen's trying to kill her, right? Breathe in. And I love this sequence, and I know it's not going to make any sense, but start at top right corner and that bottom left, right? Here's what's going to happen. Breathe in, yell, Major dodges, and then here we see Major somewhere deeper into the panel. But what's happening is the emphasis on her running, and you see these little footmarks, right? She's running towards something, and she's running, right? She's running. I am unafraid, and in the shadow of this is Karen, right? This is Karen's shadow, right? Storytelling. Everything is done to just get this idea across. So, this I tried to do, and I'm not gonna be able to convince you that it works or it doesn't work, because I've never seen a mangaka do this. I literally left this blank. I know. What the heck? Why didn't you make use of the space? Right? So, if you see how wide this is, right? This is the full page. This would be the actual full page, right? But why did I scoot everything over here, right? Why did I scoot everything over here? I did that so then I can make Major pop out above the panel itself. And I'm doing this so it looks like she's doing this, right? So this is the panel, this is the panel, this is the panel, this is the panel. She looks like she's doing this, right? She's literally hopping out of the panel. Correct? Let me hold on. Let me use black. This is Major, right? And then, oh goodness. So this is Major. Right? And then Karen would be over here. But she's literally leaping out of the panel. That's what I was trying to get at. Innovation. I'm trying to innovate on these panels in a way that I haven't seen before. And I believe a lot of mangaka are not innovating. They need to innovate because there's so much things to try and to do that most people aren't doing. And that's because people aren't thinking. They're just doing without planning. And I hate that. When you have good plans, right, and you make them better until the last minute, that's when you have like fantastic fantastic results, because something will come along, right? Some great idea will come along right at the end, and you're like, oh, I was like, that's amazing. But when you don't have those all the time, you can't rely on it. So you have to have something to have a proper foundation to begin with, and that's what the story is all about. For like when I was writing this, I wanted a proper foundation of having a story written, but giving myself that, the wiggle room, the leeway, the extra space, the loose lines in between, right, to draw a story that's better than the story that I wrote. Of course, takes more drawing skills, which I don't have, but but yeah, it is one of those things where I don't know how to explain properly without going into like an hour rant. But yeah. So Karen grabs her bag. Smash. Major is covered by the winds. Foot up, up, and then she's out of the panel. And I want to talk about negative space real quick. This is negative space, right? Because I shifted the whole panel in, correct? Because when you're shifting the whole page in, right, I'm essentially, this is the new, what's the word? This would be the new border. Because this was the original border, right? This would be the actual page for the original border. But since I shifted it in, all of this is dead space, right? For what most people would consider. And I do consider it dead space because I haven't used it properly. But guess what? This negative space actually has a purpose though, because it gives that illusion of this being a full page, right? This being a full page like this. But in reality, it's scrunched up because it's missing the, this width, right? This width right here. And it gives that illusion of major popping out of the page more. This negative space is on purpose. And because it's on purpose, it's not what's the word I'm looking for? It's not that it has no use. Its usage is being not used. If that makes sense. I'm using it by having nothing there. Because that negative space needs to be there. So then this can pop out even more. Because this emphasizes this. Anyways. So Karen looking up. Major tucking in. Grips. Double-handed. Ball. Love these two panels, by the way. Love these two panels. Where Karen is grabbing the ball, but the chain connects to this image, right? And this chain would be up here, right? It connects down here. So this chain connects down, right? Would be over here. But the ball here is being reused twice in a sense between these two panels because I overlaid on top of it, right? Where the chain connects literally to this ball and this chain connects literally to this ball. So I'm reusing this one asset between two panels. That's on purpose. That was just me trying different things. And it's just, when you draw stuff all day, you kind of just want to reuse what you have. And this was one of the purposes of redrawing, not wanting to redraw the same spike ball in every panel, because that gets kind of tiring to look at, let alone draw. I'm like, ugh. So this is just me kind of having fun with the idea of, can I reuse this asset that I'm drawing in a way where it won't fatigue me when I'm drawing it, and it won't fatigue the audience looking at spike balls all day. I'm like, and that's kind of what I ended up with. That's innovation that I'm trying to do. So we go on. Bam! There it is. All right. So slow down time again, right? 0.25 per second, 0.25 seconds, 0.25 seconds, 0.25 seconds, right? And then, you see the glare on Barbara's glasses, right? This panel took way too much time because took way too much time. And you have to remember the background here. It's supposed to look like, the buildings doing this, right? I will add the background later, but the building should be doing this. And it should give an emphasis of Major's coming down from the sky, right? The sun should be over here. right? And this is in direct line with, you see the line here, right? This little line becomes this. So yeah, love, love this page, because it does this, and then it does, actually it does this, what am I doing? This, this, this. It's just right to left here, right to left. And then we just get a single page, single panel to emphasize the gravity of the situation. Right? Okay. 84, 85. And now we have a bit of conclusion. So this is just me giving more information, but it's good information to have. This is the original conclusion of Fashionista. I know. That's weird. But this is the original conclusion. At the end of the fight, it should be concluded, right? And most people would end it here, but I'm not that type of person. Where I don't like having a single conclusion, where the single conclusion doesn't do much for you. Because, okay, she won. Who cares? Well, there's no lesson learned. She just won. Lol. Okay. But let's go on a bit. Alright? Let's go on a bit. And you get a second conclusion. Alright? This is conclusion to Major's personal problems, right? She may have won the fight. So that's one win. Oops, sorry. Alarm. So she won one fight, right? So that's one conclusion. What about the rest of her stuff that she has to go through? This is the second conclusion, right? That she had to deal with in her personal life before she met Barber. So the storyline basically is doing this, where, let me see the right side. Let's get rid of this for a second. So this is the storyline, right? From beginning to end. So this is the first page. This is page 1 to page 103, right? But within that, the fight is only in the middle of that, right? And I believe that's like page 45 to 85, or no, what was it? Yeah, to 85, right? That's in the middle of that. But what about the rest of it, right? There's parts in the beginning where Major's getting bullied, right, in the timeline. This part is being concluded now. Back to the storytelling elements. People need to know how to end the damn story. And this is one of the things I gripe about the most, so that I had to do it well, so I can show to people that you can do it like this. I hate when manga don't have good endings because they didn't set it up correctly. It feels like it's rushed sometimes, and I hate when that happens. So I needed to show that I understood the principles by writing a story that didn't do that. Because it's better to show, don't tell sometimes, but it's also better to show and tell, so I can explain my thoughts better. So this is the fight. This is the fight. This is the bully. This is the conclusion to the bullying, right? And you see this little sliver here. Is the beginning of what it meant to be a fashionista, right? Sorry, this is fight. This is bullying, right? And this is fashionista, what it means for the whole story. And I'm trying to explain this with like very crappy handwriting, but I'll try to just show you with the pictures. Let's go back to OBS. Let's show you the page. So this would be the conclusion of the bullying, right, from the beginning. And let me go to the pages. So the A for the start of this was way back, and I'm gonna go all the way back, right? The start of this was right here. Page 8 ends on page 87. This timeline is done. But within that, you get the fight sequence, right? So that's what I was talking about with the in-between. So this is the start of what I was saying. This is A. This is A. And this is B. And there was a whole fight sequence in between that, a whole fight sequence in between that. But this is the start of that, and it ends right here. But this is page 8, right? This is page 87. There's still a bit to go, because this started with something else, right? What did this start with? Huh. So what's at the end of this then? Well, I'm going to show you. So let's go back to page 88 now. Page 88, because we're done with 86 and 87. I'm not going to explain the story. The story explains itself. So we lead into... So I do enjoy using these. These are like kind of just like time sequence breaks. They're kind of just like, oh yeah, time is changing. I don't know how to explain them. They're just like panel changes, like small bits of panel, just to show time's changing, like whatever. So Major's dressed up. Emphasis, he was cute. Right. And she walking way too much. And we're gonna go do this pretty fast. I'm gonna explain a little bit about this panel that I enjoy. So let me see if I can go back. So I'm gonna try explaining something that makes no sense, but it started kind of here. I wanted to make a page where the text wasn't boring, because I know text gets boring. No one wants to read Hunter x Hunter when the text is like 95% of the page. It gets too much. So how do you keep your audience's attention, right? How do you keep your audience engaged in the content you're making? You got to make it easy for them to love it. So this is my thought of how to kind of just like make text more interesting, because text gets really boring really fast if you're just reading all day. I like pictures, it's really easy to do, but it's a strain on the artist, right? So sometimes text doesn't matter. You gotta fill in where the art fails. And in this case, this is how I kind of did it. This whole page right here is an evolution of this page, right? Where I'm trying to get I'm trying to make you enjoy the reading, essentially, but I'm trying to let you not be bogged down by it. And I needed to think of better ways of letting you guys enjoy the text, and this is what I created. So there's gonna be a lot of back and forth here, so I'm gonna try explaining this, but this page is super condensed, page 90. So you see Major's foot here, right? You see Major's head here. So imagine these are stairs, right? Literal stairs. When you look underneath a stair, they're just stairs again, just in the opposite direction. So imagine Major's head is down here, right? And her feet are up here. Like she's literally walking up the stairs from this previous page. She's saying she's tired of stairs, right? And you see Barber on headphones, right? And this speech bubble is being drawn into this panel. This speech bubble is drawn into this panel. Kind of like a yin and yang here, right? And it keeps doing that, And it ends on this little speech bubble that's just like standing there. And if you get the Terry Derp reference, you have played way too much games. But yeah, there's a lot of things happening on this panel that I'm not going to be able to explain properly because it's been so long since I did it. But the reason why it came to be was simple. I'm trying to keep your attention until the end because text gets boring. And we're like at page 90, right? This is a long story. Most one-shots don't last this long. And this is supposed to be a one-shot, right? So here, then the text goes back here, right? And this bubble leads into her face. So this is how you would normally view it. Top right corner, bottom left, right? You would do this. Then you see this, but then you see this line, right? and then you go here to this text bubble, and then you're like, okay, you see this, see this. So then there's like this back and forth, right? And then you're like, okay, but then there's a verticality to it too, where you're just like, oh, you can read it top to down. Okay, 1, 2, 3, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6. It's super simple. It just goes right down the middle. But the images also do that too, right? I'm just making you go back and forth here. And that's all on purpose, right? Because it starts at the top right corner, but it ends at the bottom left, right? And this is the evolution of what I was trying to get at. I'm playing with the panels, and I'm trying to innovate of how do you get from the top right here to the bottom left. The path here is crazy, right? The path here is crazy. But I made it look so simple because you can just read it top down. And that's why I'm going to leave it at. I'm not going to go into this page too much, but there's so much to it that I'm trying to innovate and evolve manga in my own love for the art, because there's so much things to do with manga still that people aren't doing. And this is just a taste of what you can do, okay? My art's not good enough to properly portray everything that I'm trying to get at, but I'm sure one of you will. Someone's gonna make like way better art. It's just you need to be shown that it's possible. Okay? Alright, let's see if I can fix up this page. This page is crazy. Let's okay. How do I? Okay, perfect. Now the whole page is. Let's go back to the drawing pad. So we get Major tired of stairs. Bam! Smashes the door. Foot mark. That's the wrong side, by the way. This is a left foot. This is a right footprint. Nobody saw that. And unzips what she's been holding this whole time. It's a gun. What the? Why is there a gun in this series? If she's gonna shoot somebody, that's crazy. Alright. Locked and loaded. Click. Bang. This is a reference to Batman Beyond. For people who don't know, there is nearly a reference in every page. Hope you can find it. Alright. Now 93, 94. So love this. It's blurred lines, but it shows a single non-blurred thing, which is the bullet. In this case, it's a lipstick. Right? This is supposed to be a lipstick. This is a Bayonetta reference. If you didn't get it, there are so many references here that I don't remember all of them. But this is a Bayonetta reference. She's just shooting a lipstick. It travels across the screen, and then you see boobs. Yep, boobs. And then there's a straight line for the bullet. I love this page. I love this page. It's great. And then this page was hard. I don't know what to say about it besides, oh my goodness. Perspective drawing is so difficult. Just you try things, and I'm trying like, I want to make the sniper rifle stand out. I'm like, but how do I do that? Let's make the barrel really big, but the barrel don't need to look that big. And then it measures over here. Is like, oh my goodness. So this is how it starts, right? You're looking down at the barrel shaft, but then you have to go here, and since it's the same panel, then you have to go here, then you have to go here, then down here, and then here, and then here, right? The lines just are everywhere on this page, and it's just like, but I was trying to just make this rifle stand out because that's part of the story. I just wanted it to stand out. But yeah, there's so many things to talk about, so little time. But yep, 95, 96. I will explain more probably in better detail in the future. Oh, sorry, I did not see this. I'm looking at chat now, sorry. How do you practice your art? Oh, great question. Small question. How close are you to finishing Fashionista? Okay, I'll answer the first one as they come. So, how do you practice your art? What I did was I spent an hour every night drawing. That's it. I made time for myself right before I went to bed, around at the, after university, and I just was like, I needed something to decompress, so I drew. That's it. That's how I practiced. I drew whatever I wanted, and major was from all that practicing. I created a character that I wanted to learn anatomy with, and major became my anatomical scale, I guess, whatever that word is. She was, she is my blank canvas of how I wanted to draw poses, how I wanted to learn how to draw hands, feet, uh, boobs, arms, necks, all that, everything. That's how I practiced my art. I drew a character that I wanted to continue drawing, and I practiced with that character. And I kind of just shoved her into a story afterwards. So that's how you kind of got major now, because she is what I created so I can get good at drawing or to practice my art. Hope that answered your question. That's how I practice. I made time for myself every night, and I spent time drawing using a character that I made. The other question is, how close are you close to finishing Fashionista? It's very close to being done. It's about 90% of the way there, I believe. The problem that I'm gonna have is the last 10% is very difficult. It's a lot of backgrounds, which I'm not good at, and shading, a lot of shading, because a lot of the panels, right, as you can see, they're white. Most of them don't need backgrounds, right, but a lot of them need, these speed lines. A lot of them are still white, and I'm gonna go back like, no, like this, right? This panel just needs to be shaded in. This needs to be all black because it's nighttime, right? This needs to be black. This needs to be black. This needs to be black. Black. And it's just things I left for future me to deal with because I was being lazy and didn't have the time. But a lot of these last panels, right? The background is black. The background is black. Background is black. Background is black. Because I spent the time to actually ink it in properly. And Fashionista is very much almost done. Like, very close, actually. The only real thing that needs to be made is the cover. And I believe I was asked by somebody in the comments for one of the videos, is like, what are you going to do after this story's done? The cover for this. Because I do want to eventually sell this, because I want this out there. And I would love to have, Fashionista on a shelf one day. That would be wonderful. And I get it. People are going to look at the art. They're like, oh, the art's not that good, right? I can do better, right? That's kind of the point of why I made this. Because you can do better than me. I know you can. And I want you to do better than me. This is like my silent scream at people of just like, I'm making this to show that there are better people with better skills that can do the thing that I did, as long as they put in the time, the grit, the effort, and the passion. And I know you can do it. I believe in you. And even if you don't believe in yourself, I still believe in you. Okay? And it's one of those things where I don't know how to get that across. Besides, like, the words, right? So that's why I kind of, like, one of the points of making this manga was to inspire people to make manga, because it's not as hard as people think it is, but it is as hard as people think it is, if that makes any sense. Because it's a lot of work. It's just a lot. But when you get into the groove of it, it's like any other thing. You just spend a bit every day, and you'll get through it eventually. It took me 1.5 years. So it took longer for me to make this manga because I had to do all the uploading, I had to do all the video compression, blah blah blah, to get it on YouTube, right? But if you didn't have to do that, you probably only take maybe a year, right? Like if you just did it every day. This is 103 pages, and if you do a page a day, which I kind of strive to do, you will finish in about, you know, 6 months, give or take, right? Cut, holiday days and, weekends. It's not as hard as people put it out to be, but it's nearly impossible for people who are undisciplined. You gotta discipline yourself to be able to do something, and only you know your failures. Remember that. And I'm sure you guys know already since you're here. You are trying to, do better. You're trying to make better stuff, and that's something I'll reiterate, I guess. Go make manga. I want to read it. Just shoot me a link. I'll gladly read it. I'll be like, dang, that's cool. Cause that's the whole point. That's one of the whole points of this. I just love manga enough to just be like, I want to see more of it. But people gotta do a bit better. Manga's hard to do, but we can get there. Just especially since I'm not Japanese, I'm an American, right? Me saying this as a Westerner is really weird, but I believe we could bring manga to the West as long as we, put in the efforts and put in the time. We can have comic books, don't get me wrong, but there's a big difference of why I like manga versus comic books. Manga is a single story written by a single person. Comic books are written by multiple writers, multiple artists with the same characters, of course. But there's no consistency in that sometimes. I tried to get into comic books when I was really young, and it made no sense to me because I had to start from copy 100 and whatever, and then what issue was it then? Probably 700. I'm like, there was so many books that I didn't get to read because I didn't have the money to, right? And there was no streaming when I was young, so I didn't get the chance to do that. But what my library did have, right, because I spent a lot of time in the library as a young child, there were volumes and volumes of One Piece, volumes of Bleach, volumes of Aisho 21, Eden It's an Endless World, Hunter x Hunter, Fairy Tail, Rave Master, Tsubasa Chronicles. All those kind of things were in front of me, and they were consistently done by one writer. And, mangakas draw too, so same artist too. And it was just easy to get into. The bar to get into comic books is just so much higher, and it's just not worth my time as when I was a child. And I had all the time in the world as a child, which is crazy to say. Come on. A child doesn't want to get into your comic books because you made it inaccessible to them when they have all the time in the world. Come on. That's ridiculous. Even as a child, I knew comic books weren't worth my time because they were just too much time investment to get into. But a manga, I just picked up. I was able to read it, and I was able to enjoy it. Right? All right. Rant over. Gonna get back to finishing up these pages. So, let's get back to this. Major grabbing, throwing, hits, wind. This is me still shifting perspectives, right? I wanted to really shift perspectives here, and this is me trying to change my viewpoint a lot to kind of just change my own art. And all these panels, in a sense, right, are different. I'm gonna start at the beginning. Top right, bottom left. Top right, bottom left, right? And hop, 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 right? And then hop, hop, and then hop, hop. So the time it takes between these, back to the rhythm talk, right? There are seconds happening here. There's a second happening here. There's this couple seconds happening here. There's a couple seconds happening here. There's a couple seconds happening here. Couple seconds. Couple seconds. Couple seconds. Couple seconds, right? Well, actually, this is pretty quick because she hits her foot on the ground because of this, right? But there's a rhythm to it all. And there's so much to talk about here, but I'm not going to be able to get into it. in like fine detail because my own brain is like scattered. But yeah, this is just me trying things. I know I asked before, but I would love to find time to talk with you about your manga storytelling and get your feedback on my passion project. Oh, I would love to be able to do that. I would love to. I just, the amount of time that I have to do things is more limited. And to find the time to even stream for you guys is already limited. I would love to do it in the future if I find the time. And that's as far as I can go for now. Like in the future, I want to set up a Discord for manga, right? Manga creation, so then we could talk about this just in chat, right? So I can just spend my days talking about manga all day. But that's sorry, me hitting the table. If you heard that thump, it's just it. I don't have the resources currently, and I don't have the time. So I hope in the future I find the resources. So by resources, literally money. So if I can sell Fashionista and get the money, right, I won't have to worry about certain, I can, if I can make this a job, like my full-time job, that'd be amazing, right? I could focus on manga and I could focus on this and just make it my life. Yep, no problem. I would love to talk to you about manga. I would love to talk to you about your storytelling. I would love to give you feedback because I know valuable feedback is one of the things I was looking for when I was making this manga the whole time, and I got it at the end. And I'll tell you guys about it in a bit. But I can talk to manga 8 hours a day without getting bored. 24/7. It's a bit too much. I need a bit of sleep and an idiot. But 8 hours a day I could do. Like if I ever get like, the freedom to do that, like if oh my goodness, one day I want to be able to sell this and just I hope it sells and I can make this my life. But maybe it's a future within reach, or maybe it's a future not within reach, right? But that I won't know until I try. So, panel here, Major is falling. I adore this panel, but I adore this panel more. I know people are going to say that, the perspective is very unique, right? Head first. I love this panel more just from the verticality of like how the buildings are, because these two are mirrors for each other, right? A and B. And this is the mirror for this, right? And again, this is A and B here. And then this is C, right? But there's something that I don't know how to explain besides I have a vision for how these panels were laid out, because this was how they were kind of laid out, right? There's the top and there's the bottom. This is an A and B here, and then this is the sequence here, right? And it's just, then you get to here, then you get to here, then you get to here. And also I did learn from my mistakes at this point of not putting like text panels just randomly in the middle, like, cutting off like this, right? Let me go back. I do want to talk about this because I did end up learning that some things don't work. So you should do better, right? As I said earlier, this does not work. This but does not work. Just make the whole text box fit evenly with the whole page. Yes. And my goodness, I only learned that right at the end. I'm like, oh yeah, I should do that, shouldn't I? I should be consistent, because if I'm not consistent, what am I? And this this is the A, right? This is me trying something, knowing it didn't work, and this is me going the opposite way, realizing, oh, the reason why this works is because this doesn't work. Anyways, long story short, I learned something. And I hope you learned something too from my mistake. So you get to this point, right? Major's getting her hand grabbed, and then we get to 99, 100. Oh wait, not 99. My bad. So this is 98, and this is 99, right? So this is how the page ends. So this is the lead up to the ending. So this is the end of Major's story essentially, right? And this would be the original ending where she flies into the sunset. But I if this if this manga ever gets picked up, I had a plan, and this is just like for future iterations. I wanted to add in something else of the world has opened up, right? And Major is at fighting for the top, but how do I show that? So the next 2 pages is kind of to show to the audience that there's a world out there, there's a universe out there for Fashionista, and this is the completion of the beginning. This is page 1, right? This is the B to page 1's A. For some, they will never reach beyond the past, let alone prepare for the future. There's an airplane, beautiful women, text box, right? There's a reason why there's text box at the bottom. Literally trying their best to survive at the bottom. This is just me reiterating the idea of you're at these people's feet, yo. This is an artist's interpretation of the text box literally being at someone's feet and emphasizing the idea of surviving at the bottom. Right? That's the image complementing the words and the words complementing the image, right? That is part of what art is all about. Anyways, this whole page, right, leads into this page with Major, right? Who are these people, right? You've seen her before from the beginning, right? You've seen her before. But who is she, right? Who is she? I wonder, right? Let's go all the way back, all the way back, all the way back, right? And it's all the way back to the beginning. Page 2 is when she's introduced. You have no idea who this lady is. She's holding the, back to the triangle, right? Back to her, back to holding it, back to fashion, back to this. All of this, right? All of this is just a hint at the universe that was created to house this story. And she's on her own billboard. Who is she? Who is introducing you to San Fashion Co., right? Who is this lovely lady? And it goes back to this, right? Goes back to this. The airplane, the helicopter. And it goes back to the answer that I gave you in the beginning, right? It goes back to this. The question that I'm trying to pose to you, right? All of this. For some, they will never reach beyond the past, let alone prepare for the future, just trying their best to survive at the bottom, right? Who am I implying? Who am I talking to? Who am I talking about? Right? Am I just talking about Major, right? Just Major, right? But what is it? What is that? What it means to be alive, right? And again, you see these 2 things I posted early on in the story. This is the A, right? To this B. But that's what I love about storytelling. I gave you the answer on page 6 and 7 that that the question I posted at the end. And guess what it led to? This. Because guess what? You know this helicopter? this helicopter and this airplane, well, they're right there and right there. It's just a different perspective. Guess what? All of this, all of this was done in a way where I'm trying to tell you that you can tell better stories, right? Let's see if I can get this. This is a big page. You can tell so much better stories. And I don't know how to tell people that. Besides, it's a lot of planning. I get it. But I showed you it could be done, I'm sure. But that's what I'm getting at. I planned all of this, So let's go back to the beginning one more time. The triangle, right? The power, right here. Leads to this, 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 leads to this. And then on this page, right here, this viewing angle is just this viewing angle. Crazy, isn't it? Alright. That's just the viewing angle changed. It's a perspective shift. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And that's really it. I hope you enjoyed the Q&A. I hope everything I said made 1% of sense, because what I'm rambling about probably doesn't make sense to most people. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you guys for showing up to these live streams. I am forever grateful. It is so wonderful to be able to show you this. I want to make manga for the rest of my life, but you can't feed yourself on manga. I'm sorry, you can't. You gotta pay rent. You gotta buy food. You gotta feed yourself in this life. I wish I could make manga forever, and evolve it and evolve myself, but I can't do it at the moment. I wish I could. Maybe if I could sell this, maybe. But that's after I, finish drawing the cover and then drawing, doing the backgrounds. But 90% of Fashionista is done, as I'm trying to answer again. And I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed these live streams. I do want to do more live streams in the future. But that's not going to be specifically about Fashionista, but it may be tangential to it. What I mean by that is just talking about manga, storytelling. I'll probably just rant about storytelling, or maybe glaze Siren for an hour or two, or maybe talk about Ghost in the Shell for an hour or two, talk about the manga that I've read that I would love other people to read. Yep. Looking forward to the release. Thank you for sharing. Yep. No problem, Debbie. And the much love. That's as much as I can give. Much love to your journey in art and the process that you'll take. Because if you look at the art, man, I'm gonna go back one more time. If you look at the art, it's just one thing of, you see how the art looks so flat here, right? Everything looks so flat, and then this whole page looks so 3D. I had a mental shift in my own art throughout this whole process, and you'll see it slowly build over time, right? And this is this is page 7 to page 103. You'll get better. You just don't see it in the day-to-day, right? When you're making your own art. But when you do it over a span of, I did it over a year and a half, a span of that amount of time, and this is just an extra tidbit, I didn't draw in between any of these pages. The amount of drawing I did was very minimal. So all the evolution that you saw in every page, right, was me drawing raw, in a sense. I just spent the time to draw it, draft it, then inked it, and then draw it. And you can see the difference at the evolution of the art step by step. There's very little in between in every page, because the evolution that I personally took, I wanted to record nearly everything. And I made that conscious decision of I wasn't going to draw in between the pages because I wanted to show myself, right? And of course to you guys, that progress is slow, but there is progress. You can do it. And I hope that made sense. But yeah, I do want to release this. I will message more about what will happen. This is the finale of the Q&A, part 3. And yeah, I think that's about it. Nice landscape. Ah, thank you. I I know there are lots of things that I want to talk about that I won't be able to get into, but I do want. So this is short term, and long term is like way out there. But I'm only gonna tell you the short term. Short term is I'm going to try finishing the backgrounds and fix them up, and then I'm going to make a cover. I'll probably post images about that, and you guys will probably get one last video of just me making the cover on video and me uploading that. So that'll probably be the finished of Fashionista. And if I don't do that, that's okay too. It's just if I find the time, I'll record it. If I don't, I'll just show you the image of the finished cover. But I do have a plan for how that image, that cover will look. So I have plans for that. And the third thing is, do you have other manga stories in you? Yes, that is actually a good question. And that is what I wanted to lead into as the long term. Thank you for asking, Obara. So, before that, let me finish my thought and I'll lead into it. So, cover. And then I wanted to make a video on kind of how to make a manga as an amateur because I believe I'm in the correct space to do that currently as, an amateur who is going to be finishing up his own work. I believe that's the best way to show other people who are getting into it. I'm not a professional, obviously. And what's better than a peer telling you how to do, like learning from a peer in the space? I believe when you learn from other people who are doing the same thing as you at the same level as you is the best way to learn. And this is one of those things of what's the best way to learn how to make a manga from someone who's just learning how to make a manga, right? So yeah, that'll be like the third big thing. So backgrounds, cover, video on making manga, on how to make a manga as a beginner. And then the fourth thing, this is, far into the future, as Obarak said, I have more stories in me. I'm just saying, this story that I made is a very, very nice package. It's a nice present, in a sense, to show just a little bit of what I have in store. If I'm able to get the resources, especially money, so if I get the money, I can free up a lot of time so I can make more manga and write more. If I get the money, get the resources, then I can just show you all the other stories that I have that I've been working on for, oh boy, the first story that I had has been in the making for about 12 years now. And I know it sounds crazy, and you can actually add it up. So my age is actually gonna come out. So I'm 29, right? I'm not gonna say anything besides that. I'm a bit older, not that, but I'm still young in this space, I guess. I'm not 30 yet, soon. But I have been making a story for I've thought of a story for since I was 17. That's one of the longest stories I had in my head. And I have been working on that story for 12 years. I would love to turn that into a manga one day, if I could. But that story would be my magnum opus, in a sense. I'm not going to tell you more because I don't want to get your guys' hopes up. But it would be insanity. It would be 10 years in the making. which is crazy to think about. Because if I start that, it would go on forever. Like, there's no stopping that story until it's done, and it would just be me turning old, basically, getting good at making manga. But hey, doing something you love is awesome. But yeah, it's I have so many stories I want to tell. So that's just one. I have I have another few that I'm not going to be able to tell you, and there's a lot of things I don't want to get your hopes up because I might not have the time. That's it. And that's really it. I have so many stories I want to tell you guys. So many. Just need to find the resources, and I'm trying to do that. So, fingers crossed. One day I sell Fashionista, make some money, so I can make more money, so I can use that money, so I can make more manga, which is weird. I'm using manga to make money to make manga. But yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's just if I could make manga and just feed myself, I'd love to do it. But yeah, it has been, so it's almost 3 for me on my time. And does anybody have any other questions before the last of the Q&A? Also, feel free to post on any of the videos. I do check the comments. I will always look at the comments and check in if I get a notification. YouTube is really wonky, so I manually check nowadays because notifications don't come in and YouTube's just being weird. But yeah, post a comment in underneath the videos. I will look at them and I will gladly reply. I am very open to replies. And if I don't, it's just because I'm busy. It's just, I'll get to it sooner or later. But yeah. Thank you for watching. I will be closing out in now, actually. Take care. Okay. Take care, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.